There are rumors floating about the internets that Israel was planning, or indeed did plan and had foiled, a false flag attack in America in order to kick off war with Iran. Of course, Iraq war chads such as myself, this will be no great surprise. There is a story from the Tehran Times, obviously, an incredibly reliable source. But it was also echoed in Russia, basically saying that such a plot had been thwarted, that the Iranians had been tipped off by a, quote, friendly government, and that they in turn had tipped off the Americans. There's really not much more detail. However, on 4chan, of course, that, highly reliable news source, there's a bunch of schizo stuff going about. The plan involved orchestrating a destructive event within the US and fabricating evidence to implicate Iran, thereby manipulating American public opinion and prompting military action. Iran uncovered the Israeli plot through information shared by a friendly nation, doesn't say which friendly nation. Upon learning of the potential attack, Iranians sent messages to US officials and prevented the planned explosion from occurring. So it was an explosion of some kind somewhere in the US. It has apparently been prevented. But again, right, how can you believe any of this stuff, right? And from going to that, we go to another incredibly reliable source, of course, which is 4chan. Now, these have been going around for a while. Allegedly, this guy is from the CIA, bros, right? Now, look, can't believe anything that you read on 4chan, but I have read, there have been some very accurate leaks on 4chan, right? Because it is the place that you would go to, leak stuff, right? Because, it's anonymous. Jewel of 4chan, please read an old man's last post and spend it. Do not go to New York in the coming weeks. This is from 10 days ago, right? So this might have already been prevented, right? It's hard to say, bro. It's hard to say. Buy as many guns as possible. I mean, you don't need advice like that, right? I mean, that's just, right? So be American, essentially, right? Do not give them up no matter what. No amount of money will be worth it. Again, just be American. What kind of American are you, I guess? Hyperinflation is coming. Do not keep cash on hand. Buy cryptocurrency, please. The war has become something worse than anything you have known. Terrible will happen in the next year. Spread this wide. I do not have any more time. This will be my last post. Only you can change what is going to happen. Someone set us up the bomb. Make your time. I have been identified by my superiors as the leaker from the last few days. My future depends on you all. Do not let Israel win this war no matter what. I cannot answer any more questions. As long as you remember everything I've said in the past few days, post them everywhere, every day and everywhere you can. Guns, silver, ammunition, and water will all become scarce when money becomes nothing. And what I know will happen soon. Do not give up hope. Now, some of you people might just be like, well, that's just good advice, really, right? Right? That's just sort of standard good advice, right? This goes on. He's like, I'm an old man. It's hard to read, but from what I see in the Middle East, yes, most of Ukraine is bought and paid for in secret, but not enough. Like I said before, watch for Jewish people taking long vacations and banks leaving New York for states like North Carolina. A lot of operations are going on there, and it seems to be the place that has been chosen by my superiors and others. I don't know why. Most likely has a lot to do with the technology operation. He says that the US government owns almost all of the Bitcoin that was used to purchase drugs. They got it off Dread Pirate Roberts and stuff like that. This is quite interesting because it seems to suggest that Trump may have avoided something quite severe here, right? Clearly, this war was meant to keep going, right? Quite clearly, okay? The idea of Trump just swooping in and doing this ceasefire is crazy, right? It's no one would ever have expected. And indeed, I am not afraid to admit that being a sort of a child of the Iraq War, such that I was really, really fucking worried, right? That this was going to be Iraq War 2.0, right? I am very, very surprised that it worked out this way. I am not in any way sort of ashamed to admit that I was like, oh my God, fucking here it goes again, right? So, very, very nice. So this is from yesterday, right? So this is after the ceasefire happened. OP is talking about the very obvious false flag that's coming. Here are the clues to put it all together. Israel just took a huge L in the debacle versus Iran, where the US failed to actively engage, even though they thought they had Trump dialed in. They are feeling betrayed. Okay, I think this is quite probably true. He then goes on to talk about the new New York mayor who's coming in, who's like Muslim, pro-Hamas, and is sort of like saying this will also sort of push resentment in New York. Social media has been canvassed with Jews should evacuate New York City right now. I mean, I don't know. I've seen a couple of tweets like this. I don't know, right? There was all that stuff going around about how like people got the call before 9/11. I don't know, how would that like work? Apparently there's chatter on Hebrew speaking Telegram channels. I don't hang out on such Telegram channels. And the general chatter is that Trump didn't obey us, so they need to be attacked. Where will this Mossad coordinated attack land? Now, of course, again, this is 4chan, but you know, right? I think this is the same guy from before, the leaker. So he's basically saying that Israel won't exist in 50 years. The plan is to take the Ukraine and re-establish Israel in the Ukraine. This is all still in the planning stage. And the war will start when Israel attacks Iran within 6 months. Screen cap this. Now, this is from the 8th of this month. So this is before the outbreak of war. So this guy is bang on the money. Very, very interesting, right? Which is presumably why everyone was starting to pay attention to him. Yes, right. So this is the thing from Beitar Worldwide. They're like a sort of like weird kind of Jewish extremism group, but they're not actually in Israel. I think, are they in Israel? I can't remember. And of course, there's this. All of you who've lived through COVID and who are like doing, the noticing, pay special attention to like when they start like wargaming stuff. Apparently, there was a recent war game that wargamed the idea of a series of bioterrorist attacks on the 4th of July in 2025. A biological weapon attack on the nation's capital and other US cities as we celebrated Independence Day. When's Independence Day, Amera Bros? Is that the 5th of November, December? Chat, when is Independence Day? Look, if I aspire to become an American, I got to know this stuff, right? The infectious agent that they used killed at least 28,000 Americans and infected at least 400,000 throughout the country in a single day. Sickened many animals. These numbers will increase. Blah, 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 blah. So, allegedly the Nipah virus. It's the 4th of July. How could I not know this? Oh, mate, I'm so retarded. Yeah, so the 4th of July, which is in about slightly less than 2 more weeks, bros. How appropriate, right? I look, man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying this is out there, right? But surely, I don't know. Would it work? I mean, maybe it would work. Maybe it would work. I guess we're gonna see in slightly less than 2 more weeks, bros. But you know how this stuff works, right? If enough of the information gets out there, right, you've got to sort of like call off this kind of like stuff because people are like out there looking for it. And, as retarded as 4chan is, right, I'm really, really glad that it exists. Because, it's anonymous and people can actually like leak stuff there. It's not just all about, judicious use of the N-word. 4chan does actually, have some like valuable uses. So, I don't know. Keep your eyes peeled, bros. Keep your eyes peeled. I just want to play this again. This, speaking of New York, this is what I was alluding to earlier. The new Democrat candidate for New York mayor, who's probably going to be running against Eric Adams. I can't believe that this clip is real, right? Like when I first saw this, I'm like, this has got to be like a skit or something. But no. This is actually a real thing that happened.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left to right, Ms. Adams.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus.
Now, this is the guy who got nominated, okay, right? Like, so he's the guy that actually got the nomination.
Focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel?
But I mean, but you would visit Israel, right? I mean, you know, if you're going to be mayor of New York, you have to visit Israel, right? Like, you know, you have to go and, you know, touch the magical wall that, like, you know, puts out the mind control rays or whatever, like, crazy shit it is that they do there.
No,
As mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
As a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't, he
Not
won't
as a
say it
Jewish
has a
state.
right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his
on
answer
that.
was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike
No,
you, I
you
answer.
never-
Unlike
you
you, I
never
answer
said
questions
no.
very
Okay.
directly.
All right.
My goal would be to take my first trip to Israel. My wife's life work in this area means a lot to our family, and it could coincide with my young son Miles' bar mitzvah, if you'd like to have his bar mitzvah.
Okay, but
I mean, this is insane. Like, there's like what? How many 1, 2, 3. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 candidates in this debate, right? And every single one of them is like, oh yes, I'll go to Israel, except for this one guy. Like, dude, I mean, the jokes just write themselves, bro. It's like, holy shit. This is the guy, Mandami. He's like, he basically wants to do a socialism and Islamo socialism. In New York City, he's all about like rent controlled and like, you know, government run grocery stores and all this like weird kind of like stuff. I'll probably do like a deep dive on him actually like next week or something like that. I do have links.